Have you guys ever posed the question to yourself, what would I do if I just completely started this business from scratch? Knowing everything I know now, after years of experience, what would I do differently? I've been wanting to make this video for a really long time because what would I do if all of this disappeared and I go back in time and I'm in my spare bedroom apartment and I'm thinking to myself, I want to start a reselling business. I guess back then it was more like a hobby, but just a way to make some extra cash. And it, all turned into this. Never in a million years would I have thought that that would have been the case. So with these many years of experience, I have been through a lot of ups and downs, and I'm here to tell you that I made a lot of mistakes. I'm hoping that by making this video today, if you are somebody that is thinking about starting reselling, or you are someone that has recently started reselling, I can offer some advice of some mistakes that I made, some ways to sidestep those, and give you an actionable plan to reach your reselling goals. But whatever your goals are, whether they are just a hobby, you want to make some extra money, or you want to take this all the way to a six-figure reselling business, I think I can shed some light on ways to go about it. If I were doing things completely differently, like starting in 2024, which is when I'm filming this video, I would use this actionable 6-step plan, which I'm going to put right here on the screen. Again, this would be my plan. It doesn't have to be your plan. That's actually what I want to talk to you about first. Step 1 is learning that there is not one way to do reselling. I don't care what anybody is telling you. I know that there are a ton of people on YouTube and on Instagram and on all of these platforms telling you that their way is the best way and that there is only one way to do reselling. Unfortunately, all of those people have different opinions. So whose opinion do you follow? You really got to figure out what works for you. And secondly, what is available in your area. If you guys didn't know, I recently created a mentorship group called the Resellers Edge Group. And during one of our live calls, I realized that one of the people I was talking to had not even started reselling yet. I thought, wow, that is kind of crazy that somebody came on, purchased a subscription to just learn about reselling before even starting. And then I thought, is it really that crazy? It made me realize that in pretty much every other industry besides reselling for some reason, I don't get it. Does market research, figures out their resources, and puts an actionable plan together before they even start the business. And usually there are months to sometimes years of planning that are involved before a business ever starts. I don't know why we don't do that with reselling. We just jump in with both feet. But if you are planning on making this profitable, again, whether that is a hobby or you want to take it to the business level, I do believe that having a plan beforehand and being realistic about what's available to you will really help you to navigate the reselling world so that you can avoid some of those pitfalls. There is not one way to do reselling. There are many different people who are successful doing reselling in completely opposite ways. And why are they successful? Because they have the resources, the time, and the knowledge to perform these tasks. There are many different business models out there. You could be a high volume seller where you find items for super, super cheap. And you can pretty much flip those and always make a profit because you are always buying items for very, very low amounts. And you play the waiting game where you just list a bunch of items and you wait for them to sell. The name of the game in that business model is listing as many items as you possibly can, which in theory sounds great because your cost of goods are always low, but it does take a lot of time and effort, more than any other business model, to be successful at this one. On the other hand, you've also got high sell-through rate models. You have people who focus on a high ASP. You've now got wholesalers. You've got people that do buy-sell trade stores. There are a ton. Those are kind of the main ones that I think of when I think of reselling, but there's many different ways that you can do reselling and you can't do all of them. I would highly recommend taking some time to learn what the different business models are in reselling and comparing them to your own situation. How much time do you have? Do you even like listing? Are you the kind of person that wants to sit at a computer all the time and list a bunch of items? Or do you find yourself more wanting to go out sourcing and go thrifting and spend most of your time there? What's your temperament? And lastly, what items are actually available to you in your area? Can you even come up with the types of items that would be required to be successful in these business models? For instance, if you are trying to be a volume seller and you want all of your cost of goods to be low, do you even have stores around you like Goodwill outlets or stores that run sales where you can get an abundance of goods for really cheap? If the answer is no, volume selling probably is not for you. So take some time, learn about the different business models. Of course, you're not going to know everything. Like, most people aren't going to be able to figure out exactly what they can sell in their area, but they can start figuring out what business model might fit their personality and what their goals are. And time. Time is a big one, guys. Then from there, you can start to branch out and figure out what goods are available to you in your area. Number two, once you have kind of developed a business model for yourself, or maybe you've chosen, a couple that you're going to test out and see how they work, step number two would be to start small and have a slow build. I think a lot of times people get started with reselling, they have like one sale and they get so excited and they just press the gas pedal before they even know if it's working, what they're doing, and they just go nuts buying a ton of items and listing a ton of items. I get it. It's very exciting. It's a thrill when you sell your first item. You're like, I want to do that more. Like, if I could just keep doing this, I'm going to continue selling stuff. I think you end up putting yourself in the hole later when you do that. And we're going to talk about that later in step number 4. But slow build, start slow. Try to spend the least amount of money as possible and make really smart decisions. Make sure that whatever you are picking up to flip really fits your business model and aligns with your goals. That way you don't end up with thousands of items that are just sitting here and you don't know what to do with. You really want to make sure that things are working before you put your foot on the gas pedal and increase. As part of this, I think one thing that I didn't do in the beginning was setting a budget for myself and also learning to set aside money for myself. Setting a budget can be really important. So if you're going to go outsourcing looking for goods, setting a strict rule for yourself of how much you're going to spend every week versus what your goals are to actually make, and not going beyond that until you figure out how to make that work. Once you make sales, make sure to set a portion of that aside for yourself instead of just constantly reinvesting that money, because you will find, like all of us do, you're at the end of the year and oh yeah, you haven't set anything aside for taxes. That is a big tip I think all of us skip in the beginning, and it is very important to set boundaries for yourself, set those budgets, and set a certain amount that you're going to set aside for yourself to make sure that you are profitable. Until you can start small and learn to work within your means, you really can't expand on that because you don't know what's working yet. Which brings me to step number 3, figure out what's working. Start digging into the numbers. A lot of people are afraid to look at their numbers. If you do it in the beginning, it's not scary because you're not pressing your foot on the gas pedal and not know where it's going or what you're doing. Like, if you're digging into the numbers, you know exactly what is going on. So learn those terms like your average cost of goods, learn your sell-through rate, learn your average sale price, and figure out how those numbers help you to meet your goals. This is something huge that we focus on in that mentorship group, is we talk about having different dials. And so if your goal is this, here's these different dials. You've got sell-through rate, you've got cost of goods, you've got your average sale price, and you've got your time. Which dials are you able to turn in order to meet your goal? You don't really know where to adjust in your business or what's going right or wrong until you start digging into the numbers. As a beginner, I'd highly recommend looking at your numbers every single week. Figure out, are you making money? Are you losing money? What's going in? What's going out? What are fees? What types of fees are there? How much is shipping costing me? And also keep all those other things in mind, like how much money you're paying in gas. Are you eating out because you're having to source? Those things really add up, and I don't think that anybody ever looks at them until it's the end of the year and you're like, oh yeah, I had like all these other expenses. I see a lot of resellers, myself included, when I was first starting, they don't track their numbers. They wait till the very end of the year only to find out that they've not made any money at all because they are spending way more than they're actually making. If you do this in the very beginning, you will not get to that point because you will have to figure out how to make it work before expanding and listing a ton of items. So figure out what is working, really dive into those numbers, figuring out the money that's going in and out, and figure out what you're actually left with, and then compare that to your time. And time is a number and a metric that you really need to track as well. How much time does it take you to list an item? How much time does it take you to go sourcing? And is the profit that you're making worth the time that you're spending? If the answer is no, then we got to move some of those dials and we got to figure out what's not working and how to fix it. Everything with reselling can be solved by simply doing analytics and looking at the numbers. Once you figured out what works for you, you can move on to step number 4, which is finding ways to refine your processes. So you figured out what works. You are now purchasing items for X amount, you want to sell them for X amount, and you have, a set of rules for yourself as far as what you're going to do in your business. Once you feel really, really good about where you're at, then you've got to get even stricter on yourself and find ways to refine your processes. So now that we've looked at the broad scope of things, we now want to narrow in. Okay, I know my numbers. Where can I look to see where I can shave a little bit of time off? Or how can I maybe take 50 cents off of my average cost of goods? I want to work on maximizing efficiencies and your costs. Part of becoming like a really good reseller, not saying that I am, but part of becoming a really great reseller, I just think you get to this certain point based on successful resellers that I've seen that are very profitable. You get to this point where all you're doing is like, you can't take in any more tips from anybody. All you can do is look at yourself and constantly refine. Get like 5% better every single month, and those numbers really add up. So really narrow in specifically on your processes, become uber efficient and find ways to do things within shorter amounts of time. A lot of people get to this point and they start thinking like, I need to hire because I want to list all these items and I feel like I know what I'm doing now. I know what I want to pick up. I know what I want to sell. And now I feel like I need to hire because in order to reach my financial goals, I don't have the time to list all of these items. That's where a lot of people, myself included, mess up, is they think they need the help when they don't actually need the help yet. And so by narrowing in and trying to refine all of your processes, every single facet of your business, and getting that to as perfect as you possibly can, because let's be honest, no one's ever going to be perfect. We all make mistakes and we all fall short in some areas. For one, I'm highly inefficient when I try to multitask. And that's just a block for me. Like, I learned that instead of doing 2 things at once, which can be uber efficient, I'm just not capable. So I've got to do this task first and this task first. But I do learn to refine each task individually. But you probably don't need to hire help at this point. You need to refine your processes, because if you can't be uber efficient, how are you going to teach anybody else to be efficient? So once you've figured out what is working for you in step number 3, and then you've gotten to step number 4 and you've really narrowed in and you've started refining your processes, then I think you can move on to step number 5, which is consider getting help by making investments. So for instance, a big one for me, I highly recommend everybody try to save money in the beginning, but there does come a certain point where spending money can actually save you a ton of time, or spending money can save you a lot of money. I know it's a weird way to think about things, but for instance, we were printing all of our shipping labels on a piece of paper on a regular printer and cutting it out and taping it to adhere it to every single box. I really did not want to spend the money on a label printer. I think the label printer that I purchased was somewhere between $100 and $150. To me, it just sounded like a lot of money then. And I realized once I finally got to a point where I broke down and bought a label printer that just spits them out on adhesive labels for you super fast, that I actually could have been saving money and time all along, because yes, that initial investment of about $150 did cost that amount of money, but it has saved me so much time, and my time is very valuable. And I'm only having to buy the labels. I'm no longer having to, buy paper and spend all the money on tape. So there are investments you can make in your business that are actually going to save you time and money. And I recommend doing kind of what you did in step 1 with these products or these services that you might be considering using, which is do the research beforehand, figure out, okay, how much time is this actually going to save me? Is it worth it to spend it on a monthly fee? Maybe you want to use a sharing service. Or if I, make an investment into purchasing, a printer, is it actually going to save me money in the long run with my time or my money? If the answer is yes, I do think that investments can launch your business forward. But again, I think you should do what you did in step 1, which is research all of that beforehand, make sure they align with your goals, make sure you're going to be using it pretty often. But if the answer is yes to all of those questions, I definitely say that you are ready to start investing in your business to save time and money. I'm gonna put a few just examples up here of some that I know a lot of resellers use, just to spark some ideas of some things that we are talking about in this step number 5, in ways you might be able to invest in your business. Still not hiring anybody at this point. Which brings me to step number 6. At this point, once you have refined everything, you've made those small investments into your business, then you'll get to step number 6, which is go back to step number 3. Now, if you guys remember, step number 3 is digging into your numbers. Step number 4 is refining your processes. Step number 5 is look into ways to invest in your business. 3, 4, and 5 are ones that once you get to a certain point, you'll just start cycling through over and over again. I mean, it really is that simple. Once you get to a really great spot with reselling, there's really only so much you can do to make it better. Go back, look at your numbers again, refine, and look for small investments that you can make a big impact on your business. You might be saying, Kaylee, I just did all of this. Why am I going back to step number 3 and 4 and 5? And that's because times change. What is working one day might not be working 2 weeks from now. The platforms change their processes, buyers change, trends change, everything can change. And so by constantly cycling back on those things, I think you can find yourself in a really great spot to always be up to date with what's working in your business. So that is my 6-part plan on what I would do differently if I were starting reselling over in 2024 completely from scratch. I will add a step number 7. You know, it's a 6-part plan, but I'm going to give you guys an extra one here. If you get to the point where you've cycled through 3, 4, and 5 several times, you get to step 6 and you're like, I really don't want to go back again. I feel like I've done this so many times and I feel like I'm good. Then you can move on to step number 7, which is eventually hiring help. I think a lot of people dive into it way too soon, myself included, by the way. And really, you are capable of doing it all on your own. Hiring employees, getting a warehouse, you know, all of those bigger investments are very costly, and you really have to make sure you have your stuff together and you know what you're doing before you really expand so much that things can get out of control. So please, do yourself a favor. If you think you're at a point where you want to hire help or maybe get a warehouse, consider going back to 3, 4, and 5 several times before deciding to make those investments. Because I really think you have to know what you're doing, feel really good about your numbers, and be super efficient before ever bringing anybody else into your business. Well, that's it for my 6-part plan. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. I've been asked to make videos like this a few times of what I would do differently or how I would start over if I had to start over. And knowing all I know now over many years of reselling, that is exactly what I would do to a T. If you guys are not already and you like this kind of content and you want to see more, consider subscribing below and hitting that notification bell. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every single time I post content. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you guys are successful in your reselling business. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.